Hey everybody. I often have people ask me the question, what do I do at the start of a project? And of course the answer is, well, it depends on what the project's about. What I put together in this lesson is just some information about what kind of information do you need to look for based on the kind of project you're working on. So what I've done is I've made some categories of projects, and I said, okay, for this category of project, typically the information you need is this kind of information. And then I've given some examples of actual projects so you can see how that applies in context in a real project. Now, this is guidelines, so I don't want you to take this and say, Jerry said this is the only information that I need for this project. No. So what I've given you is some guidelines, a starting point, a way to think about your project. Any particular project, you may find other things that you need to know. Plus, all I'm putting here is the starting point. I'm not giving you every kind of requirement you're ever going to need on that project, because for a lot of projects you're going to need every kind of requirement over time. But what I want to give you is where to start. What's the important information that you need to start with to get the project going, and as you work on the project you're going to find the additional information that you need to collect. Okay, so with that caveat, I want to show you some sample projects, and here I put a little table of contents so you can see what's in here. I've categorized the projects three different ways. Corporate internal projects, so that's your typical IT kind of project. Creating a product for sale. We're going to look at things in a little different way when we're creating products that we're going to sell to someone else than if we're doing a project inside the company. And then the third category I made was business process projects, because again those are going to look pretty different from the other two. And then under each category I have several different kinds of projects. So under corporate internal we're going to look at maintaining existing software, installing third-party software, updating third-party software, and creating new software. If we're creating a product for sale, we'll look at maintaining an existing product, creating a new product in an existing line of business, and creating all new software. And then finally, under business process projects, we have write the business processes for a new company, change or add a business goal or corporate direction, and update a business process. So again, these aren't every possible kind of project you could ever be involved with, but I think it gives a nice overview of pretty typical projects that we're involved with as business analysts. How about creating new software? And this is a project where a company is releasing a new product for sale. So for this kind of project we need to know who will use the software, for what purpose they'll use the software, how will they use it, what are the needs for things such as availability, performance, and security, and what is the competition doing? All right, so again we have to talk about competition when we're looking at a market-driven product. So here's our example project. A company is planning to release a three-dimensional mind mapping tool. This tool will be of interest to people already using mind mapping tools whose mind maps are too large to browse easily in a two-dimensional tool. So what do you need to know? Well, this is a new product. Remember, we don't have one. So you need to know what these kinds of tools do. You would probably go look at two-dimensional mind mapping tools and see what they do. And your requirement type will be a feature list. You need, again, you may not come up with this yourself. Your project manager may already have it. You might get it from marketing, but it might be your job to go figure this out. You need to know what's different and special about this three-dimensional tool. So once you know what the two-dimensional tools do, it's kind of like making a new product in a product line, right? Because there's already similar tools in the marketplace, and that's pretty common. We don't tend to see brand new stuff that nobody's ever done before. So commonly a company will do something somewhat different, so you already have an idea of what similar tools already do. So now you're going to make a list of a feature list and maybe a user interface mock-up to show what's new and different about this tool. You might have processes to describe how to use a tool, scenarios describing how someone might use the tool in their job. So, if we have the processes, use cases in that, that's typically, how do you do something in the tool, but you might write up some specific scenarios about how maybe in this case it's a mind map, maybe a professor is using the mind map to outline his lectures for the semester. So that would be, you could come up with a scenario for how somebody like that would use this tool. And that might be part of your requirements. You may also have business rules that you need to collect. You probably will. So now we know that this application will be a desktop tool, not a web application, so we don't have to worry about security or performance. You still need to know the technical constraints. You need to know what performance is required, what kind of security is required, accessibility, modifiability, usability. You're looking for all these technical constraints on it. So first we looked at what are the features of the product, how is it going to be used, and then we're going to look at the technical constraints. Some people may want to display and edit mind maps during a meeting, and the response to panning, zooming, rotating, rendering, and edits has to be fast. So again, you need to know possible applications of the tool. This is where doing scenarios can be really helpful, and what the needs are in each of the possible applications. Doing scenarios in this case can be really, really useful. A scenario is just a description of a specific way of doing things. Not a general description as we do with use cases, but a very specific description. So we have a scenario of maybe a professor mind mapping his lectures for the semester. We have another scenario here of someone in a meeting. As the meeting's going on, the person's capturing the meeting minutes maybe as a mind map. That's a different application or scenario of the tool. So you want to collect, in this case, different scenarios so you can get an idea of all the different ways somebody might want to use this tool and make sure that the tool's features will support the different usages of it. Most of our competitors don't offer a way to make the mind map private, but this is a feature we can consider. And you know, when a company's doing brand new software, this is really important to think about the future. What are the features you're not releasing now that you want to release in the future, or think you're going to want to release in the future? This makes it possible for your team to design the software to make it easy to put those changes in the future. So here we're looking at requirements such as feature list, maybe report specifications, maybe mock-ups. I didn't mention reports earlier, but this kind of mind map tool, people might want to use it to generate reports. So we're probably going to have some kind of reporting specifications as well. Thank you for listening.